Hey everyone, this is Daniel Litwin, the voice of B2B, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fix, a Vixxo podcast. Again, I'm Daniel Litwin, the voice of B2B. Thank you so much for joining us on this Vixxo episode. We're doing things on video this time, and we've got a great little series of Vixxo basics that we're going to be breaking down. Before we do that, though, and get into our main thought leadership, I want to point you in the right direction for more Vixxo content. So make sure you're going to our website, Vixxo.com, Vixxo.com, for more information on some of the different strategies that we're going to be talking about today and our solutions as well, but also for more Vixxo content like podcasts, articles, videos, and more. And you can also subscribe to Get Your Fix on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Hit that subscribe button and you'll have a full catalog of previous conversations, plus some notifications when we drop new ones. So, without further ado, let's get into the main course here. On today's podcast, we're starting a series of shorter, snappier interviews on the Vixxo basics, and we're honing them in for our manufacturing audience, our clients, and really just for the OEM-wide network of different companies. Really what we're wanting to do is break down the core tenets of why having a third-party installation partner like Vixxo is worth your time, worth your investment, and your professional energy as an OEM. Because we here at Vixxo really believe that today's manufacturing installation challenges, especially at scale, can get so unmanageable that having a trusted partner at your side is not really a differentiator or a cherry on top, but really becoming a necessity. So we're going to highlight some of the key points of value that a team like Vixxo brings to OEM facilities operations, understanding why there are problems that need solving in the first place, and how a helping hand from Vixxo works in practice. So for our first interview in this series, we're going to be getting to the metric that will probably most define your decision to invest in a third-party partner, if we're being honest, and that is how it hits the wallet. So we're going to break down the financial implications that come with an outsourced installation partnership, why it's worth the investment, and also, once they're by your side, how they can provide some value and cost savings as well. So without further ado, let's introduce our guest. I'm pleased to welcome Ryan Baumgartner. He's Vice President of Projects and Partner Development at Vixxo. Ryan, thank you for joining us on episode 1 here. How you doing?
Thanks, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Real pleasure getting to chat and source your insights here. There's a lot we got to get into, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. What I want to start with is understand what is motivating the need for having a Vixxo partnership in the first place for your OEM clients. So start us here. What are some of the internal financial factors that you think are most important for an organization to weigh before committing to an outsourced partner? What do they need to just understand about their situation before they even think about bringing someone else on?
Sure. So I think the total cost of ownership, meaning what does it cost for you to actually roll out a large project for your retail partner or wherever your products are going, and then essentially, not only what does it cost, but how fast are you doing it? So what's your speed to cash once you install these, right? So does it take you 3 months? Does it take you 8 months? What's that implication on your cash flow? And then how much money are you spending to support that out in the market, right? An installation partner can actually give you the ability to pay by the drink, by project. But if you have to then house internal technicians and you have to scale and grow and you don't have them where the need is, that becomes quite costly.
Yeah. Well, expand on that for me then. Why should equipment manufacturers have a good grasp and clear vision on those metrics? What are some of the consequences that come from not having that holistic vision?
Right. So at some point, your sales pipeline and your growth probably is going to outreach your support network. So, and your customer, right, they don't really care about that. They only care that your products go in quickly and that your products do what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
But if you don't actually have that growth visibility and the partner that actually can scale very, very quickly with you, you're going to be probably in trouble very quickly and putting your clients and that revenue growth at risk if you can't scale as fast as they want you to.
Yeah. You mentioned something that I always like to highlight, which is that a lot of these issues often have domino effects and can impact departments and professionals beyond just sort of that core team that deals with the day-to-day operations of installation. So can you expand on that, some of the financial implications of how it affects marketing teams, sales teams within an OEM organization when you don't have that kind of oversight and vision over your financials?
Sure. So I think the biggest impact is obviously on the sales team. So you build your pipeline out, and then all of a sudden, how many projects can you work at one time? Like if you go into 2 retailers that have anywhere from like a 2,000 store portfolio to a 10,000 store portfolio, can you run those projects at the same time?
Right.
If not, which one do you decide gets prioritized first over the other? Right. If you do put them on a wait list to roll them out, that then becomes problematic for your sales executives because as the sales deal goes longer, you have more of a potential to lose that deal.
Right.
So
to go to the competition.
Right.
Or otherwise,
So if you close on them and you can scale very quickly and you can get them into the project right away, and if your installation partner can do quality work, roll that out very quickly, your client's happy, you got revenue coming in very quickly, and then it's really about just the product performing, as they sell it.
Right.
So that's a really, really important impact to know how fast you're going to grow, and do you have the ability to keep up with your client needs?
Right. So then let's bring in the Vixxo to the conversation. How does an installation partner like Vixxo help improve profitability and just kind of pad that bottom line for manufacturers across the board? I guess break down the dynamic of that relationship.
Sure. So I think the first implication is cost, right? So what Vixxo and an installation partner represents is, we don't have just one level of a technician or group of technicians in a certain market. There's many layers of technicians. So that gives us the ability to leverage buying power in the market. And so if we have a 2,000, 10,000 store rollout, and we have all of the people trying to bid and get that work, you can really drastically reduce your cost of a per install basis. So the first implication is definitely cost, right? We can generally create really good cost-effective savings by leveraging that buying power. Secondarily, we talked a little bit earlier about cash flow. If you only have one technician in a market and you have 80 stores, say, that you got to roll out in that one market, well, then it's basically like, okay, how many can you do a day? If we have 5, 6, 7 layers of technician support, we can then scale up and down as quick as your customer has the need. So cash flow coming in, if it generally takes you 8 to 10 months to do a large rollout in a big portfolio, if we can reduce that to 3 months, now you have that cash flow. What can you do with that cash flow to reinvest, right? And I think the other impact then is closing your deals. So if you have 3 customers that come on at the same time, particularly if you're a smaller manufacturer that's trying to grow, or you just came out with a very innovative product and you're just waiting for the big retailer to buy it so you can then roll it out to everybody else.
Right.
What happens if 2 come at the same time? Right. So an installation partner, and particularly Vixxo and me understanding our capabilities, if we can run in parallel with all of those projects, we can scale up and down. We can create your kind of output for you of here's how long it's going to take, here's how much it's going to cost, and predict what that cost is and timeline. That makes for an extremely effective end-to-end solution for a manufacturer to do. And taking it back to, if you allow the person you're selling your products to manage the project and it comes out of your hands, if something happens, there's a disaster, it's mismanaged, that poorly affects your reputation and your product when it's actually the rollout that didn't occur properly, not the equipment not doing what it's supposed to do. So, and we see that all the time. They'll put holds on projects. They've even kind of cut out the actual deal sometimes and say, hey, this just isn't working out. So we really give you the ability to take control and control the process and get the installs in how they're designed to go in.
Right. So I want to expand on something there. I'm sure there are some organizations out there that might be hesitant to put all of that responsibility and trust on a third-party partner like Vixxo, especially when the value proposition is, hey, partner with us and we are going to help you realize a lot of cost benefits, which you can then invest in other aspects of your business. That's a broad strategy and one with a lot of moving pieces. So, how do you address that hesitancy, basically, of wanting to offload that trust onto a Vixxo? What's your approach to dealing with any of those concerns as they come up?
Yeah, a lot of times there's less risk when it comes to projects because you have the ability to do a pilot. Right, and I think sometimes there's a feeling that using an outsourced partner, you have less control, right? Because they're not in-house, they don't have the same email domain as you.
Right.
Oh, are we going to be deprioritized because somebody else? But I think we utilize a lot of tools internally to help combat that fear. For example, when it comes to rolling out these products, when it comes to project management, we hire really great project management professionals that actually know, and that's their core competency is delivering on projects. We also have a lot of tools that show you pre-pictures, post-pictures. We do sign-offs, we do checklists, everything that allows you to see consistency. And everything that makes your end consumer feel comfortable about the installation, as well as how it was put in, are they being installed the same, and then testing the product, right? So all of that stuff creates consistency, and it creates really a credible kind of project that we put out there. But you can test a pilot, right? You don't have to give everything to somebody. You test a pilot, you fill it, you slowly roll it out. And a lot of people will do hybrids. Maybe they have some installation techs because they can take up the volume right now. But as you start to grow your sales team, as you start to grow your organization, or you have some innovation products coming out, maybe we work in tandem until you feel totally comfortable. And then it's like, hey, this just makes more sense to utilize you 100% because you can scale with our growth. And then you don't have to take on all the overhead cost of continuously building out a technician fleet that you may not utilize after the project's done.
Very true, very true. I love that. That's like a holistic understanding of that dynamic. Yeah, I love that. So let's continue on that note. Naturally, in this kind of dynamic, there's an expectation that Vixxo is going to provide XYZ service. But I think it's important to remember that this is a relationship, it's a partnership. And that means that the manufacturer also has to provide some level of buy-in to the situation to make sure things flow smoothly. Cohesion, synergy from both parties. So what would you say is the role of each party, of the client and Vixxo, in helping realize this revenue faster? I guess, how do the two parties need to work together to achieve those cost-saving benefits?
So I think it's important. It's not just a one-way relationship, right? Hey, Vixxo, we're going to give you everything, and you just run with it. So one of the reasons that I really wanted to kind of back this, manufacturer partnership, product that we're putting out in the market is I want to create innovation for our facilities clients and partners as well. So, and we're doing that today. So as we continue to build our portfolio of these innovative manufacturing firms and these great products that are driving innovation in the retail space, not only are we going to be helping you reduce costs, helping you roll out quicker, helping you realize cash faster, and growing at a scale that you want to grow at, we also like to introduce you to our facilities partners as well, because they're looking to our organization to say, hey, what's innovative out there? What types of products help drive innovation within retail spaces, within grocery, convenience, restaurants? So we now have the ability as we continue to grow this side of the business to go in and say, hey, not only do we do reactive maintenance and preventative maintenance, and we do all these great things for our retail and our partners today, now we can actually introduce some of these great manufacturers, and then we come full circle and create synergy between the manufacturing industry, the retail industry, and then we sit in the middle, right? Because we have to maintain and install and the construction and all those components. So it really creates the full circle. And then we're giving back to our partners because we're introducing them to some really great brands out there.
Yeah, it's all about cultivating an ecosystem that works. Yeah, and I think that goes back to clear communication, making sure everyone knows what their role in that ecosystem is and how they can benefit the ecosystem, and not just treat it like, we are the solutions provider and we are the receiver of those services and we just kind of expect you to do everything for us. But I think building that into the start of the relationship is important. Do you have any strategies or tips or maybe just insight for how Vixxo approaches building that relationship to start so that those roles are clear and that there's buy-in there to realize that revenue faster?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. One is the slow roll approach, right? I mean, testing us out, understanding what the cost implications are going to be, the tools that we use, because at the end of the day, a manufacturer, they have their customer that they're keeping happy are some of these large retailers, these really big brands. You leave a ceiling tile open, right, and a store manager comes in the next day, you get like a 4-paragraph email, like, the installation did not go well because somebody left a ceiling tile open. So understanding the customer's expectations, really truly understanding our capabilities and the tools and the documentation and everything that we do to drive that communication to their end user, that stuff's extremely important. And so by kind of going in and just testing it out, you can see the tools, you can see how your partner is reacting or your client's reacting as those install goes in. That's really important. And so all of those pieces, I guess my feedback or recommendation is give it a try, test it out, there's low risk in it, and then if you like what you see and the communication's great and we're scaling for you very quickly, then you can roll it out, right? And then once there's a comfortability between both the Vixxo side, the manufacturing side, and your product is producing great data and insights and innovation, then really it's about talking to our partners as well, and then introducing us and helping you grow. So there's definitely a phased approach that allows you to take less risk and feel more comfortable as you roll it out.
Yeah. So last main point I want to highlight then is, what advice would you offer, or how would your team strategically build in those financial implications of an outsourced partner into said OEM's future growth plans? Basically, how do you take the financial benefits of this partnership and then turn them into a core aspect of your financial plans and your business growth strategy as an OEM? So at least I know our leaders and most leaders at every organization, they like predictability. So if you can predict and you have an end-to-end solution, it prepares your frontline people. It gives them the ability to have concrete conversations with clients and set expectations. So the strategy for us is build a pricing model for installations that scales. As an example, say you have 5,000 locations. Depending on what product you have, the complexity of the install, maybe some need 2, maybe some need 5, maybe some need 1. So you can't price out per location, you got to price out like per install. So if we can create the ability for you to look at a portfolio, understand how many of your products they need, very quickly scale the math to say, okay, here's how much an installation is going to cost, that's extremely valuable to them. Right, because if you just go in, here's the product, and you got to do the install yourself, now you're putting them to work, and they may not even be able to do it. Right.
So that, I think that's extremely important, is allowing you to speak to it, right, as well as just understand what that total cost is. And then the timeline's the other thing. A client will usually dictate what the timeline is. Particularly if your product has revenue implications. So food equipment, beverage equipment, if it's not in one day, you're missing sales on it one day.
Right.
So they'll be extremely aggressive if they buy your product, and right when they sign that contract, they're like, oh, well, we're starting tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So if we could actually we can take a pipeline, understand the size, the locations, we can then build out what's the cost going to be for it, and then secondarily, we can build out the timing for it on multiple projects.
Right.
That's extremely valuable to have as an organization, and it gives you predictability, and it allows you to make your clients feel more comfortable. At the end of the day, like, hey, they know what they're doing, they have an end-to-end solution, we feel really comfortable signing this contract because they've put our kind of fear at ease and answered all our questions appropriately.
Right. And I think, to that point, Vixxo building predictability into their solutions and basically building enough predictability that you can then be adaptive. The fact that Vixxo uses that as a core tenet of how they build out their solutions, I think then reflects in how your clients are able to then leverage that to do the same, to be proactive and to build that consistency in their financials, which then allows them to make quick, tough decisions when they need to because the baseline is just a little smoother.
That's right.
Love it. All right, I think that does it for our financials conversation here. So thank you so much to our guest, Mr. Ryan Baumgartner, Vice President of Projects and Partner Development here at Vixxo, for all of your insights. It's really been a pleasure. And Ryan, if folks want to find out more about Vixxo's approach to offering OEM clients some of that financial support and cost benefits, how can they do so? How can they get in touch?
Yeah, so you can just go to Vixxo.com. We have our manufacturing capabilities up and landing page. You can go there. All my information's up there as well. Happy to have a conversation, talk about where you're at, where we can go, and even do some estimating for you, right?
Perfect.
Without it actually walking into a store, we can run simulations and help you understand what that partnership would look like.
Love it. A little test run just to make sure things work.
That's right.
I love it. All right, again, Ryan Baumgartner, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for watching this video episode of Get Your Fix, a Vixxo podcast. If you like what you heard and saw and want to listen to some previous episodes, make sure that you're heading to our website, Vixxo.com, Vixxo.com, and subscribe to Get Your Fix on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'm your host, Daniel Litwin, the voice of B2B, and we'll catch you next time on another episode of Get Your Fix.